I used to believe that it was my job to hold people close. No matter how much they pulled away, if the conversation went quiet, I was the first one to text. If the call slowed down, I was the one picking up the phone. If plans were up in the air, I was the one making things come together and making them happen. And I convinced myself that that was loyalty, that it was a sign of being a good friend, a good partner, a good person. But if I'm being honest, it wasn't just loyalty, it's wrapped around fear. It's fear of losing people, fear of being forgotten, fear that if I didn't put in all the effort, I wouldn't be enough for them. What I didn't realize back then was how quickly the fear turns into a habit. You don't notice it at first. It just becomes second nature to fill in every gap, to keep the connection alive at all costs. And if they don't respond right away, I just double text. If they didn't call back, I convinced myself they were just busy and I'd try again later. If they didn't make the effort to see me, I'd rearrange my own schedule to make sure it still happened. And honestly, it felt noble in the moment, like I was fighting for something worth keeping. But what I was really doing was training myself to overcompensate. I was setting a standard that said, you don't have to meet me halfway because I'll come the whole distance for you. And that's problematic. See, the problem is that creates a dangerous pattern. You start measuring your value by how much you work and the work that you're putting in for someone else's attention. And the truth is, closeness should never have to be earned through constant proving and over-delivering. Looking back now, I can see how imbalanced that was. Because if a relationship only survives when one person is carrying all the weight, it's not really surviving, it is draining. And eventually the one carrying it all will break down. And here's the part I wish I had learned sooner. When you're chasing, you're not building a connection. You're just managing someone else's disinterest. And no matter how fast you run, you can't outrun the truth of that. So let's talk about the cost of chasing. The cost of chasing goes way beyond just your time and effort. It will eat at your peace. It will blur your clarity. And it will take up space in your life that could be filled with people who actually want to be there. See, when you're chasing someone, you're not just giving them your attention. You're handing over your emotional energy, your mental bandwidth, and sometimes even your own self-respect. And people who require you to chase them are usually the same people who would not meet you with the same energy, no matter how fast you run. See, you end up overextending for the underinvested. You're pouring into connections that are really just holes. No matter how much you give, it will never fill them. And it's not because you're not enough. It's really because they were never showing up with the same capacity to begin with. And the truth is that it took me a while to learn this. Chasing isn't keeping someone close. It's just keeping you tired. You're tired from trying to hold the rope from both ends. You're tired from manufacturing effort that should be coming from both sides. You're tired from managing a relationship that can't breathe without you pumping life into every single day of doing. People who truly want to be in your life will never make you run them down. They will match your energy. They will show up without being begged. They will make sure you feel wanted without you having to consistently prove your place. Chasing distorts the reality. It tricks you into thinking effort equals love. You start believing that if you just try harder, give more, prove more, that finally they will see your worth. But that's not love. That's you doing the labor. And love that only survives through labor isn't love at all. See, the kind of love, the kind of friendship, the kind of family connection that is worth keeping doesn't ask you to break yourself to keep it alive. It doesn't make you beg for presents. It doesn't punish you with distance to get you to prove your loyalty. Real love is real connection. I'll say that again. Real love is real connection. It's proven in the reciprocity. It's the mutual investment. It's the shared responsibility for keeping that connection healthy and alive. And when that's not there, chasing will only delay the truth you already know deep down. They're not meeting you where you are, and they're not trying to. And at some point, you have to ask yourself, is this love that I'm protecting, or is it just my fear of letting go? And then, you'll get to this place where it's a shift. When I finally stopped chasing, it wasn't because I woke up one morning magically healed. It wasn't because I suddenly didn't care anymore. It was because I got tired. And it was tired in a way that went deeper than physical exhaustion. It was that soul deep tired, the kind that forces you to ask, what am I doing with myself? For a while, I tried to justify it. I tell myself, well, they're just going through something, or that it's just a busy season for them. I make excuses to cover the fact that truth was sitting right there in front of me. If someone was to show up, they will. And if they don't, no matter the amount of chasing, it just won't make them. The shift happened when I started looking at my own energy the same way I look at my money. I wouldn't keep spending money on something that gave me nothing in return. So why was I spending my emotional energy like it was unlimited? Every time I chased, I was taken away from the relationships and opportunities that actually wanted me there. I was draining myself dry for people who were full but still refused to pour anything back into me. And it took practice to stop. In the beginning, I felt guilty for not being the first one to reach out. I worried people would think I didn't care, but here's what I learned. If someone's connection to you depends entirely on you being the one keeping it alive, it's not a real connection. It's dependency on your effort, not appreciation of your presence. I also had to learn to sit with the discomfort of space. When you stop chasing, you create a gap, and your instinct is to fill that gap with something. But that space is where the truth lives. It's where you find out who values you enough to close the distance on their own. And I also tell you that when the shift happens, you start to see clearly. You start to recognize who was there for you and who was just there for the benefits of you. You start to see the difference between people who want access and people who want connection. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop chasing, you stop running from yourself. You start noticing your own needs again. You start giving time to the relationships that give something back. And you begin to have peace because it grows and it stretches out in places you didn't even realize it could reach. Now, all relationships will look different. I give where I'm fed. I invest in people who invest in me, and I'm not afraid to let go of anyone who requires me to lose myself to keep them close. I'm not in the business of proving my value anymore. I'm in the business of living it. And to be honest, some people didn't like that new version of me. They were used to me being the one who always called, always fixed things, always came running. And when I stopped, I made them very, very, very uncomfortable. But I realized that their discomfort was not my problem. It was just the sound of boundaries being built. And if you've been chasing, you probably know that comes with fear, the fear of stopping. You wonder, if they don't come after me, what if they just let me go? So I'll tell you something that might hurt a little. If they let you go that easily, they were never holding you to begin with. Stopping the chase isn't about losing people. It's about making room for the people who were looking for you all along but couldn't reach you because you were too busy running after someone else. And that's the shift. It's moving from proving to protecting, from chasing to choosing peace, choosing mutual effort, choosing to be in relationships where you can finally put both feet on the ground instead of constantly running. Because love, friendship, and connection are not supposed to be marathons where one person is running and the other is just watching from the sidelines. They are supposed to be a walk side by side where you don't have to lose your breath just to keep up. In this stillness, I hope that you practice peace. When I talk about not chasing anymore, people often think I mean cutting people off cold or walking away without warning, and that's not it. The shift from chasing to standing still is not about a punishment. It's about maintaining and keeping your peace. The truth is, peace has to be practiced. It's not something that just happens to you. It's something you choose and keep choosing, even when it feels uncomfortable, especially when it feels uncomfortable. When I stopped chasing, the first thing I had to get comfortable with was silence. Do you know how hard it is to go from being the one who always reaches out to not reaching out? It feels unnatural at first. Your hands will itch to send that text. Your brain plays out the what ifs. What if they don't think I care? What if they think I'm mad? What if they just disappear? But I had to learn something important. If my presence in someone's life is so fragile that my silence erases it, then it was never solid to begin with. The second thing is I had to practice what matching energy was. If they call back, I call back. If they invested time, I invested time. If they made space for me, I made space for them. But if they didn't, I didn't overcompensate anymore. I stopped doing double the work for half the connection. And that taught me something else. When you stop doing all the chasing, the people who truly value you will adjust. They'll start showing up because they want to, not because you're pulling on for them to. And the people who don't adjust, they fall back, and that's okay. That is the space they leave behind, and that makes room for better. The third part of this practice was letting go of the rescue mindset. For years, I thought my love, my effort, my consistency could fix people. I thought if I just stay loyal enough, they'd eventually see my worth and step up. But chasing is not rescue, it's enabling. It allows people to give less because they know you'll always give more. And when you stop, it forces them to either grow up or drift out. The shift wasn't about other people, it was about me. I had to rebuild my relationship with myself. When I stopped running after others, I realized I had been running away from my own needs. I didn't know what it felt like to pour into myself first, to have boundaries that weren't negotiable, to protect my own peace with the same energy I used to protect everyone else in their feelings. And I'll tell you, when I stopped chasing, life felt different. You began to have time to invest in the people who do show up. You start having energy to pour into the things you've been putting off because you were too busy maintaining dead connections. You start seeing your worth in action, not because someone finally validated it, but because you're living in it. And here's what I know now. Peace feels better than proving yourself. Mutual effort feels better than one-sided loyalty. And presence feels better when it's chosen and not chased. And if you're listening to this thinking, but what if I lose them? Then I need you to hear me clearly. If they can be lost just because you stop running after them, they were never truly yours to begin with. The people meant for you will meet you where you are. They will walk towards you without being pulled. They will give without being forced. And their presence won't require you to lose your breath trying to keep up. So this is the practice of peace. Let the space tell you the truth. Let the absence do its job, and let people prove by their actions where they stand with you. When you stop chasing, you learn that love, friendship, and connection don't have to be marathons where you're the only one running. They can be walks side by side at a pace where no one feels left behind. And those are the relationships worth keeping. I hope you learned something in this episode for today.